Welcome to Module 6 of the Excel training program. In this module we'll be previewing and printing worksheets. We'll be previewing the worksheet, preparing pages for printing, creating headers and footers. We'll work out a print area and add titles. We'll look at controlling page breaks, and we'll also go through the process of printing the worksheet. You may remember from Module 1 we had a look at the views. We're in the Home tab at the moment here, but if I just go over to the View tab here, we have the normal view, which is what we're working with here. We also have the page break preview. We're just going to look at that here now. We also have the page layout view, okay, which is pretty much close to how it will look when it's printed, although we'll look at that in more detail. And we could also have a custom view, which you can create yourself. For example, I'll just click custom views there and go add. I'll just call this one new. And it just shows me here that I include in the view the print settings, any hidden rows or columns or filter settings. We're looking at filters later on. So I just go OK. And that means now that next time I want to go back to that particular view, I'll just go to custom views. For example, I'll just go custom views here and click show, and that shows me my custom view called new. Anyway, we have the view here in page layout, and if we go back to our normal view, which is the view we'd normally work with, from here we're going to do a print preview. So we go up to File and then down to Print. Now immediately we can see this doesn't fit on the page. We're going to fix that in a while. We're not going to print yet because we need to do a few things. We should also check as well that our printer is the correct printer. There are possibly other options on your computer for the printer. Just check that your printer is the default, the one with the green tick. Mine just happens to be offline at the moment, but I just need to connect it, that's all. So that's the printer. We can check printer properties here as well. We can have a look at this in more detail in a moment, but basically it's just about the quality of the paper and any finishing you want to do with it. Okay, and that's normal with your printer. We'll just go OK to that. Now we just go to our settings here, and we've got various options here. We can print the active sheet, that is the one we are working on, or we could decide to print the entire workbook, which would mean any worksheets which are in the workbook. We could have 3 or 4 of those, for example. We might want to print them all together, or we might just want to print a selection. That's to say we've selected some cells and we just want to print those particular cells. Now the print area we're going to look at in a moment. We have an option here to ignore it, but we will look at that in a moment. I'll just click away from that now. Now we can collate our printout from here. You've basically got 2 options, collated or uncollated. We're only going to have one page here, so we don't need to worry about that for this one. So I'll click away from that. Now the portrait orientation is probably no good for this particular worksheet because, as you can see, it's running off the page there. So I'll hit the down arrow and choose landscape, and let's see how that looks. Much better. We also have our option for paper size. Standard in Europe is A4, but in the States you might work with letter size or even legal. But we're going to stick with A4 for now. We have our options here for custom margins. Just have a look at those. We have our normal margins here at 1.91 centimeters top and bottom, for example, 1.78 centimeters left and right. Or we could choose wide options or narrow, or even create our own custom margins. We also have the options for scaling. With this particular worksheet, it's all going to fit on one page, but we might have the option or the requirement to fit everything onto one page, so we would choose here fit sheet onto one page, or we might choose to fit all the columns on one page so that we shrink the printout so it's only one page wide, or even just choose the option to shrink the printout so that it's one page high. And we could also choose some custom scaling options as well. I'm going to leave it at no scaling. Very interesting is the page setup here, so we'll just have a look at this. We've 4 tabs in the page setup dialog box. We've already decided that we want landscape, but we could have chosen to change it here. I could also adjust it to a different size. Let's just experiment with that. I'll just go down to say 70% and go OK. And that's 70%. I'll go back to page setup now. I'll bring that back to 100. I could also from here decide to fit everything onto one page by choosing fit to one page wide by one page tall. Here also I could choose my paper size. We've already done it, but here it shows A4. Print quality 600 dots per inch, that's fine. We could increase the resolution here if we wish to. Not always necessary, it depends on what the quality of your spreadsheet looks like. And our first page number is going to be 1. We only have one page here, but we could decide to option that to say 3 or 4 or whatever we want to start with. Okay, we have some options here. Okay, and this takes us back to our printer. Okay, all the options there. Normally that's set up by default anyway, so we'll just go OK to that. Also here in the page setup dialog box we have our margins. Here we can adjust our margins left or right as we wish to. This is an interesting one. We can center on the page horizontally or vertically. If I was actually to choose both of those, it's going to put the spreadsheet in the middle. I'll just go OK to that so you can see what I mean. Okay, I'll go back to page setup there. Go back to our margins, which is where we were. Okay, we can go to our header and footer here as well. Now, with headers or footers, you can decide where you want to put a particular header. We'll look at the icons here in a moment, but just say I wanted a header in the center section, so I'll just put, say, name of the made out company. Like so, and then just go OK to that. And if I just click on custom header there, I could make any changes to this as well. I'll just show you one of these icons here. If I go to the first one here, if I click on that, that will choose my font. So I'll say bold, I'll go for size 14, go OK to that, and then go OK to that. It's not appearing on the preview yet, but it will in a moment. I could also choose to have a custom footer as well. Here's where you might want to put in page numbers. Okay, we'll look at all these icons again in a moment. We'll come over that again. Let's just go OK to that. And on the Sheets tab of the Page Setup dialog box, we can determine a print area. We're going to look at print areas here in a moment. We can choose which rows to repeat at top or columns to repeat at the left. We can choose whether we want to print the grid lines, that is to say the lines which are dividing the cells. Okay. We could print just in black and white. I've got some color here, but I might decide I just want to print in pure black and white. Draft quality would reduce the amount of ink that I'm going to use. If I chose print row and column headings, that would put the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s in. I'm not going to choose that option this time, but I will later. We've only one page here, so it doesn't matter which page order we have. So I'll just go OK to that. And there's our header. Okay, and then all I would have to do then is print. Okay, so we'll just go over that just again, but this time we'll introduce a few more options. Okay, so you check your printer is okay and it's online. Determine whether you're going to print the active sheet, the one worksheet, or you want to print the entire workbook. If you're going to have several pages in your worksheet, you might want to choose just to print pages 1 to 3, and then you might want to collate them. We're going to stick with landscape for this one certainly. A4 is our paper size. Custom margins, we could choose to make different custom margins if we wanted to. I'm going to just leave it with the normal margins. We are going to choose the option of no scaling this time. And we'll just go back to page setup so we can look at these icons in the header and footer. Remember, you can adjust the scaling here as well. You can determine whether to fit to however many pages wide by however many pages tall. Paper size, as we've already determined, is A4. We'll go back to margins here. Okay, everything is fine with the margins. We can change any of these here. I might actually take the vertical alignment out there. I'll go to header and footer here. Okay, I'll just go to my custom header here again. Okay, as I showed you just a moment ago, we can select the text here and change the font as we wish to on format text. But while we're here, let's have a look at the other options that we have. Okay, I'm actually going to click into another section here. For the second one along is we could insert the page number. You might want to actually put that in the footer instead. Second one is you could put in insert the number of pages. So like page 1 of however many. Next one is to insert the date, like so. That's the formula for the date here in the header. I'll just take that out for a second. We could also add the time as well. Okay, I'll just undo that. Next one along is we can put in the file path, which would be the address of where the worksheet is located. That's usually going to begin with C:, if it's on your hard drive, but maybe E:, if you're working on a memory stick. Next one is quite useful. You can insert the file name. Okay, the name of the worksheet file. Or you could introduce the sheet name, just the name of the worksheet instead of just the file name. You could decide to insert a picture like a logo, for example. And once you have a picture in, you have the option there to format the picture. Okay, I'll take this out for the moment and we'll decide we'll just put in, let's see, we'll put in the worksheet name, I think. And the file name. Okay, we'll go OK to that. And you can see here that it's got the name of the worksheet and the file name itself. I'm just going to go back to my page setup here. There's this tiny little error. I wonder if you've spotted it. I'll just go back to my header footer here and go back to my custom header. Okay, I have the name of the workbook itself, which is Sound Light Invoice, and then I have the name of the worksheet, which is actually short, but I actually need to put a little space in between the two of them, so I'll just type space in between the two here, and in a moment you'll see a space appear over here between the two. Let's go OK to that, and then OK, and you notice that is fixed now. And if we're happy with that, we are ready to print. If we decide we don't want to print now, we'll just hit our back arrow to go back to the worksheet, and all our settings will be saved for future. I'll just go back here, and if I go over to my views here and have a look at my page layout view, you can see my headers and footers in here, and I could have changed them here as well. So let me just say I could take out the two words there. Okay, and I'll actually take out the file name, Sound Like Invoice. Delete that. Okay, as I mentioned, short is the name of the worksheet, which you can see down here. Okay, I'll go back to my File tab and then go to Print, and you can see here how it's changed in the print preview. Okay, that's fairly straightforward. Remember, your settings just need to be checked before you go to print so we don't waste paper. And remember that your page setup dialog box is very useful for just checking things. Make sure that everything is okay. Okay, for example, if I just say I want to print the grid lines, I'll just go OK to that. And there's my grid lines showing on my worksheet. Okay, let's go back to our worksheet here by hitting the back arrow. Okay, and I'll just go back to my normal view. That's, I think, the best view to work in. Okay, now I might decide I want to add another column or a row to this, and if I do, I'll probably want to set a print area, and it's usually a good idea to have a print area set from the start anyway. So I'm just going to select my worksheet here, or the table on my worksheet. Then I go up to page layout, and then down to print area, and then decide to set a print area. This means this is all that is going to print from my worksheet. If there's already an existing print area, I could clear it as well. Certainly if I added an extra column or a row outside of the print area, I'd probably want to clear the print area and reset a new print area. So I'll just set the print area here. Notice I've also got options here for portrait and landscape. I could change my margins here as well. Okay, and I have my A4 set correctly. I could also choose a background if I wish to, and I have an option to print the titles as well. That's just going back to my sheet here. We'll look at those in more detail in a moment. That will work better with a longer worksheet. Just go OK to that. And I'll just go back to my Home tab in case I need to do any more formatting. Okay, deselect. I could also go Control and P to print. That's Control and P to print. Okay, that takes me to the print dialog box. Or I could have just gone File and Print as well. Okay, I'll just go to Page Setup here and go to the sheet, take out my grid lines, and this time I'll choose row and column headings and go OK to that. This time my grid lines are going to disappear, but my row and column headings are going to print instead. So here's another worksheet, although the format of this one is going to be slightly different. Let's have a look at it. I'm just going to scroll down here. I just click my mouse into a cell and I'm just using my down arrow to run down the cells here. And we can see we're broken into months here, days of the week, dates, and sales, daily sales of something. Okay, and it goes down to row 128. So we'll have a look at this in print preview. So we'll go File and Print. And here we can see that it's better suited for a portrait format. And we can see at the bottom here that there are 3 pages. and I can move through the pages by clicking on the arrow to go to the second page and then the third page. As you can see, there's not much on the third page. Okay, we just go back to the worksheet view here again, and I'll go to the top of the worksheet. Remember, the keyboard shortcut to get to the beginning cell, the A1 cell, is Control and Home. Notice that I have a dotted line here between column I and J. This represents the print area that's unset as yet, but how it would print as we see it now. So basically, if I was to put something into cell J5, for example, that's not going to be on the print preview. That will take on another page of itself. Regardless, we'll just go back to our print preview, File and Print. Okay, we just check that our printer is set as default. We're going to be printing the active sheets as opposed to the entire workbook. Remember, there's another worksheet in this workbook that we were working on earlier. So I'm just going to be printing the active sheet. Collating doesn't matter at the moment. I'm just going to be printing them out, pages 1, 2, 3 as is. Now, do I want a portrait or landscape? I think this is definitely suited for portrait. We're on A4 as opposed to any other paper size. That's fine. I'll stick with my normal margins, but I could also change them. Now, scaling, well, if I choose my options here, I could choose to fit the sheet onto one page, but I don't think that's going to work. But let's see what it does. You see how it's all crammed everything onto one page. So that's not exactly what I want in this particular instance. So I'll just go back and choose no scaling. And we're back to where we were. Now I'll go to page setup here and just check what settings I have here already. I'm adjusted to 100% at the moment. That's fine. Okay, I'm portrait. That's okay. I'm on A4. That's okay. Margins, I could change these if I want to. I could tell it to center on the page horizontally or vertically. I'd say horizontally might work. We'll see in a moment. Header and footer, I could add something to the header here, so I'll just put in custom header here. I'll just put into the left section here sales for the moment. Okay, and I'll just go over these other icons here that we have here. Remember, this is the format text, the first one, so I'll just go back to sales here and do a little bit of formatting with that. And I'll make it bold and say 14. I could change the font style as well, but that's okay. I could change the color if I wanted to, even underline it. I'll go okay to that though. Okay, with these other icons, if you hold your mouse over it, they will say what they are. This would be insert page number. That would be better in the footer, I think, rather than a header, so we'll come to that in a moment. Insert number of pages, like page 1 or 3. We could insert the date, insert the time, the path, which is, remember, the directory on your computer or memory stick, whatever, where the file is located, the file name of the workbook itself, the sheet name of the actual sheet itself, and the other option is then to insert a picture, and we could format the picture from the very last icon here. I think we'll put some page numbers in as well, so we'll just go to page setup here, go up to header and footer of the page setup dialog box, then go to custom footer, and then click into the right section, and my numbers, page numbers are over here. Insert page number. If I was to choose the next one, that would just put in number 3 on each of the pages, so I'll just go insert page number and then go OK, and then OK to the print dialog box, and then we just check that. We can see bottom right hand corner we've got a 1, so then a 2, and then a 3. Okay, we'll go back to our worksheet itself, so I'll go back from the print window here. Okay, if I'd have gone to my view tab here and gone to page layout, I can see my header here. I haven't set a print area yet, that's why I've got sales on the next page here. I'll just scroll down, okay, down to the bottom here. Let's have a look at that. Okay, we can see our page numbers are here now. Okay, I'll just click into that, and that takes me to the header and footer tools you can see at the top here, and all the icons that I had there in my print window are available to me here, and it might be possibly a bit clearer for you to understand from these descriptions. Okay, I'll just go back on my view here. I need to click into a cell before I'll be able to switch, and click back onto normal like so. It's always a good idea to set a print area, so I'll just scroll back up to the top of the worksheet, or use my keyboard shortcut Control and Home. Just need to click into the worksheet there first, of course. Control and Home takes me to the beginning. Let's say I'll want the first row here, and I want the first column even though it's blank as part of my print area, and I'll probably include column E as well, just in case I want to add anything later there. So I'll just select the whole of the worksheet as far down as my last row there, and we'll maybe leave one extra row at the end there. Then I'll go to my page layout tab and set a print area by clicking down on the print area icon and go set print area. Okay, I'll deselect, and we'll just go to our file and print now. Okay, I've got a print area set, which means basically that if I wanted to determine that area, that's my preset. Okay, I could then tell it to scale. Fit sheet onto one page just brings me back so that it's too small, or I could change the print selection. Okay, that's only showing sales and the 280 because that's all I had selected, and I'll just show you what I mean now. Just go back. Okay, it's got my heading here and the 280. If I just select those here again and then go file and print, okay, that's the selection, and that's all that I would print. That's with my option for print selection. Okay, I'll just go back to print active sheets now. Now that's probably too small to be able to read when it comes out of the printer, so we'll just go into page setup there, and this time we'll tell it to fit to 1 page wide by 3 pages tall, and see what we get then. Go okay to that. So I still have 3 pages here. I'll just check my second page and my third page. Okay. I might decide I want all the data centered horizontally on the page, so I'll just click on page setup here again and go to my margins tab, and just where it says center on page I'll just choose horizontally and then go OK to that, and now the data is centered on the page. I might also want to include my column headings on each of the pages here. For example, on page 1 I've got day, date and sales at the top, but I haven't got it on page 2 or 3. So we'll rectify that now. I'll just take us back to page 1 there and go back to our view here. This is the row we want to repeat, row 2. So I just got to print titles here, click on the down arrow. This brings me back to my page setup dialog box. Now the rows to repeat at the top is row 2. I just click this icon here and make sure I have it selected, then just click on it. I get the marching ants effect. Then I'll click the icon again, and we can now see rows to repeat at top, $2 to $2. The dollar sign represents a referencing, relative referencing. We'll come across that in a module very soon, so we won't worry about it for now. So I'll just go OK, and I could actually go straight to print preview from here, so we'll just have a look here. So page 1 has got the column headings. Let's just check page 2, yes indeed, and then page 3 has also got the column headings as well. I might also want to put in page breaks. For example, I might want all this month on one page. I'll scroll down, but I want a new page for the next month here. So I'll go to page break preview. Here we can see we've all got this data on page 1. Okay, I'll just go to my page layout tab here. At the moment my width is 1 page by 3 pages. Okay, I'm going to be changing that because I'm going to have more than 3 pages. So I'll just go automatic on both of those for a start. Okay, my scaling is now at 100%. Let's say I want to put a page break in here, so I'll select the row below where I want the page break to go, and then go up to breaks here and go insert page break. Okay, I now have a page break there. Let's say I'll scroll down to here. Let's zoom in a little bit more so we can see this. Okay, and I'll scroll down a little bit more. And I want a page break here, so I'll click on row 67, insert break, like so. Click away, there's another page break. And let's see if I need another one. Yes, I do. So I'll select row 98, go to breaks, insert page break. Okay, deselect. Now if I go to print preview here, okay, I have each of the months on a separate page here. And I'm still repeating the column headings, as you can see. I might need to adjust the scaling a little bit. Let's just try that here. I'll adjust to, let's try 130. Sometimes this can be hit and miss. We'll just go okay 150. That's much better, it's much easier to see. Okay, and that's page breaks. And I'll just go back because there's just one more thing with page breaks we can have a look at. I'll just go back here, is that you can just drag a page break as necessary. Just click on it and take it to where you want it to go, like so. I'll just go Control Z to undo that because that's not actually what I want to do. But and now I'll just go back to my home tab here, and I'm finished with that. It's a good idea to experiment with all the settings within the print window here. I'll just go back to the worksheet itself here. We've got a lot of options in the page layout here in page setup here, and I can expand the menu here to get my page setup dialog box. You've got 4 tabs: page to do with the portrait landscape, adjusting to a percentage of normal size, if you want to fit it to a certain number of pages by a certain number of pages. You've always got the option to print preview there. Our margins, we can change those as we wish. Header and footer we can change from here as well. And then we've got our rows repeating at the top, and it shows us our print area. Here's a little exercise you could have a go at yourself to see how the settings work with print preview. Here's the data. You might recognize this from earlier modules. And we'll just have a look at the questions now. Okay, set a print area for all the data. Okay, remember to select the data first. Change the settings to A4 in landscape. Scale the worksheet so that it fits all onto one page. Insert your name into the header, into the center of the header. See if you can format it to 14-point bold. In the footer, put in the worksheet name, format that as well to 14-point bold. Show the grid lines in the print preview so that they will print. Have a look at the worksheet in page break view, and then just switch to page layout view. And you probably need to adjust the zoom to view the entire worksheet. And then finally, if you've got a printer, just print it out and see how it looks. And before you print, Your solution should look something like that in page layout view. Of course, if you don't like that view, you can just go back to the normal view or even the page break preview. Doesn't really matter. Just make sure you can go into File and Print and have a look at it on Print Preview. And here's a quick recap of what we covered in Module 6, previewing and printing worksheets. We've previewed the worksheet, we've prepared pages for printing, we put some headers and footers in, we created a print area and put the titles in on each page. We had a look at controlling page breaks, and we went through the process of printing a worksheet. Thanks for watching.